Hello, everybody. Jen, you're on the clock.
Pete, when you look at yesterday's game, what is the most surprising element of that outcome?
How obvious the big plays factored in. There was three huge plays in the game for their offense, and they all led to scores, and that's 21 to 28. And there were plays that we could have obviously really made much different on the defensive side. The big run to start the thing, offset the field, and tilted the field. The third down long play, we have it defended, and then the play to George Kittle on a play action pass is not a difficult play for us to defend, but we gave it to him, and so those plays really factored into the outcome of the game. I think along with that, the fact that there's 23 explosive plays in the game, and they got 12 and we got 11, it was a big play football game, and they had the better of it.
What, if anything, changes about the messaging this week?
We have to, we've got 4 games at the end of the schedule here that makes up this really the old-time fourth quarter of the season, and this is our shot. This is our shot to do something. And we had our opportunity this past weekend. We didn't get it done to get it started, but we got to start a roll here. And coming up on Monday night against a great team, here we go. And so we're gonna face it, and we got to do something about it to make something out of this year.
Corbin?
Hey, Pete, yesterday you mentioned the big plays happening on familiar concepts that you guys have seen, nothing new from the 49ers. How surprised are you that that's happening in the passing game with the experience that you guys have at the safety position? Where do they fit in right now with those struggles?
Well, one of them, was in the safety area. The other one was in the corner. It looked like, it looks. It's hard for you guys to tell how things worked there, but I don't think it necessarily has to do with the safety position in general. I think we just got to make our plays. Those are just well-executed plays by them, but plays that we've seen, and we practiced and worked against. And so that's why I say it in the way I said it. There was nothing new about those things. We should just execute well in those situations, and we didn't.
Michael Sean?
Really good job.
Hey Pete, when you say Gino can't push off in one direction, do you mean like he can't like hitch up or he can't change direction? What do you mean? What he
No,
can't
when
do?
when you have a groin injury, for those athletics background guys, and you push, you push one way or the other away from the side of the groin, then that's sore. You can feel it. So it can have to do with opening up and running. It can have to do with striding to throw, changing direction and things like that. When you have to call on that side, it activates, and that's why you feel your groin when it's sore. So, but he did quite a bit in pregame. So he did move around. He was testing it out, and he kind of found the parameters of what he could and couldn't do. And so we'll see, how he comes back. These couple days right here are just so valuable for him, getting all the treatment he gets and then just the rest time. And we'll come back. We don't practice again until Thursday, so that we've got a break here. We'll see what happens.
And with Drew, if he has to play against Philly, what would you like to see him do better or different than he did on Sunday against San Francisco?
Yeah, he did a lot of really good things. There was a couple choices, a couple decisions in there that he threw the ball into coverage. Didn't get the right throw on the big deep ball that he threw, and the other one he threw one into coverage that was really dangerous. You can't fault him on the ball that gets tipped at the end. That was a pass rush, but. There's going to be plays in the next game. There's plays for every quarterback in every game, that you wish you'd have that one back, and you don't do that. So I think that was a pretty normal football game, and him showing us what he can do and how he can make things happen and be comfortable in the moment and all of that. He was very poised about this in a most difficult situation. So I think that just bodes well for him, down the road.
Thanks.
Sure.
John Boyle?
For the non-athlete.
That's a lot of us, I think. Pete, going back to Drew, just if he does play this week or whenever he has to play next, what kind of value is there in getting that experience, going on the road, playing a defense like that?
Yeah, this is it. This is really, he needed to be in this situation with our uniform and playing for us and all that. He's had games in the past, but it's been a while, and to come back, I don't know how he would have been more prepared mentally to take this challenge on, just judging by how he responded and how he handled it and how he communicated, how he handled the huddle and all of the calls and the situations and all of that, and the adjustments on the sidelines and halftime and all. I mean, he was a real pro about it. So that's a great sign, and he's been preparing for this, and he came through in that regard. So it's a good moment for him, and it is very valuable for him. And man, I saw him a couple times take the big, kind of the big breath, kind of the sigh, and okay, here we go, and he was ready, and I was really proud of him.
Bob?
Yeah, Pete, I was wondering if you could clarify Devin Witherspoon's situation. It seems like we've heard his injury characterized in a couple different ways, and then also with Frank Clark, did he just not make the trip because he wasn't going to be active?
Yes, on that case. With Devin, yeah, I had thought it was ribs. I think post game I might have said that to you. I thought that's what it was. We found out and took pictures of it. It's a legitimate hip pointer, okay, which is he took a knee in the hip, and that's what he's dealing with. So he was way better today than he was yesterday in terms of discomfort, and so hopefully we'll make some good progress on that, and we won't know until late in the week how he's doing though. Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah. And Artie Burns, any clarification on his situation?
Yeah, he has an old knee. He just got it tweaked a little bit, and I think he's going to be okay, it sounds like.
All right, thank you.
Maddie Brown?
Aside from the opening play, how would you assess the rest of the run defense against the 49ers?
Come on, Maddie, that's all you got? I thought you.
Well, okay, fine.
No. Sorry, I'll answer that question. No, forget that. I can't hear you, Maddie. I think your mic cut out. They had 100 yards, and 22 carries, other than that play, and that would have been, an average, a little bit less than average night for us, and would have been obviously way more manageable and less impacting, of course. So I mean, it's a 72-yard play. It's a 72-yard play. That wrecks your numbers and all, but. More importantly, we did play a lot of good plays, and we had a lot of good stuff. They're going to execute too. They're a great running football team. They had two other runs that were really legit runs that they really blocked us on and got out and made about 15 yards or something like that. But all in all, it was not a bad day on the running game. It was just the first one that really wrecked the day.
Is there something perhaps to you guys being a bit less familiar with base defense, and how you're running like an under front in base this past game, and it takes guys a bit of getting up to speed with that?
Yeah, man, it shouldn't, because it's something we practice every week and all that. The first play, we just attacked them more and overran well because we're all jacked up to go play. We're trying to get off the line of scrimmage, and we try to go get to the toss on the first shot. And we just played it. We overplayed the play, and it just looked terrible with the big cutback lane that happened on it. So it was a combination of things that you could see from the very next play and the running plays that came in after that. It wasn't the case like that. We were really jacked, and we kind of over-responded a little bit.
And I guess the way that they shift their tight end off the line of scrimmage very quickly at the snap is a fairly unique challenge for the run D, preparing for that.
No, there's a lot of quick motions and shifts nowadays in the game, and double movements, shifts, double motions, and stuff that are happening that we're really prepared for all of that. That's not a factor anymore.
Greg?
Can't hear you.
You're saying they're not executing the game plan and all the.
I didn't really say it that way, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, they aren't executing. That plus the fact of all the high hopes you had entering the season and the excitement you had, how difficult personally is this for you right now?
Yeah, let me go to the first part of that one. It's really disappointing for me that with all the work we put in, that we miss on an opportunity to do something right. We practice and prepare to do right in the games. That's really what this whole thing is all about. And so when the time presents itself, the opportunity presents itself, you're in the right spot and you see things the right way, and you respond perfectly is what we're trying to get done. And so whenever that doesn't show up, I take it personal. You know, I mean, it's personal. It's a personal response out of me because I'm trying to get these guys right, and it isn't as clean or sharp as it should be. So when we miss a route read and they score a touchdown on 3rd and long, you know, that pisses me off in a lot of ways, on a lot of levels. And you know, we have to do better. You know, we have to recognize and see it. And when we give up easy stuff, you know, whether it's on either side of the ball, things that we've worked on really hard. There's things that happen in games for the first time often. You know, there's a new play, it's a new twist, it's this or that happens. A guy, you know, the ball bounces differently, or they make a cut or something that makes a different response for the players necessary. Those things, you know, you can understand that. And those happen. We try to survive those things as they happen. But when things happen the way we prepare them, we need to do better than that. And that's when you're playing a really good team, you're going to lose that way, and that's what happened. You know, this was a really good football game. This was a lot of battling going on. We moved the football on them too, and we did a lot of good things. But they were more capable than we were in the crucial moments of making the plays that needed to be made. And you know, give them credit; they won the game.
In all your many teams you coached, how many have not executed like this?
All of them. All of them. It's just a matter of how much and when the time comes. The game is such it's a frustration of a pursuit of perfection, and you just can't get it. But that doesn't mean that you don't keep going for it. And I think it is the ire and the juice that you get out of the fact that you got to fight your way to try to make it right and to get it right the next time. It is what keeps you coming back to it, you know. And so it's never perfect. There's always stuff. Sometimes you survive it better than others. And if it's a constant, which hasn't been a constant where we give up easy plays in those situations, this isn't what happened. It happened in this game. And so, you know, that was just really frustrating because this was a chance to beat these guys at their place. We had a shot to do that. We moved the football well enough to get some points on the board. We were going to have to stop them all night long. We didn't get it done.
Masvita?
Hey, Pete, this morning, I think you talked about belief, commitment, and consistency. And right now, obviously, you've got the two, the belief and the commitment. How do you build that consistency just in terms of the players? And does it have to do kind of what you talked about, recognize and see?
Yeah, it's a it's a really good question. It's a really good question because it takes so much to present the product that gets on the field on game day. The decisions that you make, the things that you see that you might be able to do, you install in the game plan, you ask guys to execute, you make decisions on whether they can or they can't. Is it going to work? Is it going to fit? Are they going to be able to hold the information? That's the process of coaching football. It's such an intricate game with so many moving parts that's what you're constantly in pursuit of, is to get that right and get that clear. And so I don't know. I would say it continues to frustrate me as it has my entire career. It's always been part of it. You know, you can't quite get it just right, but you keep fighting for it, and when you get it right more than the other guys, and when the opportunities present themselves, you can take advantage of it more than the other guys. You win, and I don't know. Maybe that seems oversimplified to you guys. I don't know, but that's what it feels like to me.
And then in your running game, you got 70 total yards, but did you get the combination diversity, if you will, of those two backs?
Not quite as much. Yeah, not as much as we would like. We would like to run the ball another 10 times in that game, you know, and get it up in the 30s. That's what I was hoping for. The numbers of plays, it didn't happen. But you could see the mix, and you can see the variation in their style, and that's what I think presents a problem. Zach's got some stuff now. The downhill stuff, when he's coming at you, he's hard to gauge. He makes guys miss regularly and aggressively, and Kenny's flashier than that. He's different than that style, and he's very explosive and creative with his running. And so it's just to create the ongoing, you know, concern for their team to try to figure out who they're going against and how they're going to make the tackle, how they're going to make the play. And the same plays hit differently with those guys at times, and that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Tim?
Did we say go Army anywhere? Nobody ever said that. We're going to let that whole thing go? Jeez.
You should not let that go, but
Yeah,
you can.
I know.
Thank you.
I know. John Radigan asked me to say that.
How's Trey Brown doing?
He should be okay. He tried to get it going in pregame, couldn't quite get it. He was close. So he'll have a really good chance this week.
And then what did you think of the way Tariq played yesterday, and then maybe if you can encapsulate his whole season to date, how he's played so far?
Yeah, it hasn't been the season that he had dreamed of. He got a knee injury in camp. Right off the bat, he's recovering from an injury that he has no background in at all. Skilled athlete and all that. It took a lot out of him, and the setback in time, the times when we would had a really good opportunity to really bounce back from the terrific season that he had as a rook, it was going to take a lot of preparation and prep to get him back on course again, and because it happened in such a splash for him. So he missed that opportunity, unfortunately. So he hasn't been, I don't think, at his best in the last 4 to 6 weeks. His coverage has really picked up. His numbers are pretty good in coverage. We look at pass defense and explosives and that ratio there, and he's in good shape right there. His tackling needs to be continually addressed so he doesn't get knocked around, doesn't miss his opportunities. He missed a couple the other day. But he's working hard at getting after it. He had a couple good hits last week and got close to a couple more good ones this week. So we're continuing to try to develop him. But I think it's been a work in progress. It hasn't been the smooth transition from year one to year two and capture all of the benefit of that. So he's working hard at it.
Brady?
Yeah, I know you said that Devin is iffy for Monday night, but if he does play, that'll be two of the top guys for Defensive Rookie of the Year in that game. I'm just wondering, going back to the pre-draft process, what was your evaluation of Jalen Carter as a player and as a person?
We thought he was a great player. We really did. He was dynamic physically, so explosive and strong. Played aggressively, played tough, played on a great team, great championship team. There was a lot of real positives there. It's a great pick.
And what did you learn about him when you brought him in for a visit before the draft?
He's a good kid, easy to talk to, comfortable, confident. We got along really well.
And then one more, just with Devin, obviously he got hurt yesterday, but what's your evaluation of how he's come along and the way he's played this year?
Well, I think we've all had an opportunity to evaluate Spoon. We've seen him in so many situations already. You can see the explosive makeup that he has, the instincts that he has, the playmaking, the toughness, the juice, the natural football instincts and all that. He's a fantastic ball player. And I say that in an overall really endearing way because he gets the game and the game comes easy to him and he can make things happen when he's playing and you miss him when he's not out there. That's it's an obvious trait that he brings. You miss the playmaking. Right off the bat he got hurt knocking the ball down. What else would he have done in that game? Had he had some chances. So he's had a fantastic start. I would expect that he's going to make it back this week, and he'll be out there battling again.
Thank you.
John Boyle?
Yeah, Pete. Leonard Williams had, I think, it was his third sack in 5 games. Just how are you seeing him progress as he gets?
Yeah, I thought he had his best game. And he didn't have a great week at practice. We had to hold him back a little bit because his ankle was still bothering him. But he played the line of scrimmage really well. I think he had forced the quarterback maybe 3 or 4 times in the game. Had a sack, and if you looked closely at the sack, he was working so intricately with Jay Reed to free him up on the sack, which often does help you get to the quarterback. It was happened in perfect fashion. He's knocking the lineman off so that Jay Reed can get around it. He winds up getting free on the response. It's really been a joy having him. He's a great kid. He brings a lot of juice. He wants to play every play. Killed him when he had to sit out of practice. He's just got all of the good positive stuff that you hope a guy could have. And I think you can see him settling in. And he's becoming a real factor.
Bob?
Yeah, Pete, I was just curious after reviewing it if you had any different view at all of sort of the fight that happened at the end and DK's involvement in it, and obviously that it's just DK with some of his history. I guess people are sort of just like this is some people anyway, just kind of DK again or whatever. But do you have any different kind of view on that at all?
Well, I think it might have been stated in the broadcaster, but we all know that it's not the first guy that gets found out. It's usually the second guy, and sometimes it's the third guy. In this case, it was the second and the third guy. Tempers were going, and the juice was flying, and stuff happens. Like to be careful, make sure we don't hurt anybody in those situations, and we make good choices, good decisions. We'll see what the league thinks about it.
Curtis?
Yeah, Pete, you said on the radio this morning that a decade ago with defense, you guys didn't have to do as much. You had, less that you had to go to. You were so much cover 1, cover 3 with how you guys played back in those days. What about the way the league has changed over the last 10 years has forced you to be more multiple, more diverse on what you have to do on defense to try to counter what teams are doing nowadays?
Yeah, the offensive scheme has just continued to just explode. And I think so much influence from the college game, as well as the NFL game, has just generated just changes and adaptations that were necessary. The motions, the shifts, the reliance on the throwing game, the willingness to be in empties and spread the field, and all of that kind of stuff has just grown. And it was always there in existence. The run and shoot was a 4 wides offense back in the day that was kind of the forerunner to a lot of stuff that goes on now. But it's just caused us to continue to have to expand. The spacing on the field and the use of the spacing is just really, the offense is in exquisite fashion at times, position their guys and move their guys around so that you have to really be on your stuff. So it's just made us adapt some, and everybody's had to do it. We're not alone in that one. We've just grown from where we were, and continue to compete to figure it out, really, to slow these guys down. And the running quarterbacks has been a huge factor in the growth of the game, and the use of them in schemes and to outnumber the defenses, and all those things are all part of what we deal with on defense. And that's just what the game has become.
Matty F. Brown.
How did you feel Jordan Brooks played dealing with his ankle injury?
I was really happy that he could hang. He up until the day before the game, we weren't sure. And he ran well in pregame. He pulled it off. And during the game, I remember I went up to him and said something to him about how fired up I was that he was able to find his way back on the field. Because he had a significant ankle sprain, but he made it through it. He'll be at his quickest when he gets over this. I mean, that's going to hold him back a little bit, and it did a little bit. But the way he hung in there and played and was tough and all that was really admirable.
Last question, Brady.
Pete, just to clarify, it's something you said on Locke earlier. You said on one of the deep balls, did you say that he just missed the throw, that it was off target, or that he didn't throw it to the right guy?
Didn't. For the moment, he needed to throw the ball as far as he could and stretch DK out way downfield, and he tried to lay something in there. It just wasn't quite the right throw. You could even see him gesturing. He needed to throw the ball outside farther and keep him moving. He just missed it. That's all.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
See you.